I'm Peter Bois, nationally touring magician.
And I'm Gus Davis, nationally touring game show host.
We don't get regular Saturday nights because we are out performing on the weekends.
That's why Mondays are so special to us. They are our Saturdays.
We will help you get through your Monday by joining us on our Saturday.
Monday is the new Saturday.
Welcome to Monday Club.
Oh, snap, crackle, and robot! It is Monday! What's up, all you Monday warriors out there? This is Gus Davis, along with me, as always, my amazing partner, Mr. Pete Bois. Listen, literally, I think this is going to be our best episode of Monday Club of all time. Here's the deal. We're going to be talking about when robots show their true colors, Pete's Talk Show, and kicks off Season 2 at Conjuring at the Colonies. We wrap up Father's Day, where I had a dad-filled dad disasters of dads. I send a love letter to Microsoft. Big middle fingers up to you, Microsoft, this week. This week in the news, we discussed the proposed formation of the 6th branch of the military, Space Force! This week, we also talk about the Summer Movie Challenge. It continues with Incredibles 2. And, of course, this week's Teachable Moment. Stick around! I'm excited!
Hallelujah, it's Monday!
It is the Monday Cheers! Ah.
What's up, brother?
What's up, man? How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Dude, I'm stoked. This is the first Monday Club in a while where I've started Monday Club and I'm awake. I actually got enough sleep last night. I'm two-fisting it with beer. It's like a legit Monday Club for me. I'm so stoked.
Awesome. That is so good to hear.
Yeah, how are you? How are you, man?
I'm good. I got intermediate sleep because I didn't put my AC in my window last night when it was like 75 degrees in my room, but I feel good.
Good, man. Nice.
Despite that.
Yeah. I think it's funny. It's Pete. No joke, man. I'd hate to talk weather and stuff like that, dude. But at 10 p.m. last night, it was still like 89 degrees outside. Like, it's ridiculous how hot it is. Yeah, like my air conditioner's just working overtime trying to keep me from schwitzing all over the place while I'm sitting inside. It's awful.
Well, you're looking good. You're not looking too shiny.
Oh, thanks, man.
So that means you're not sweating.
Yeah. No, I'm adapting. I'm a chameleon. I'm nice. Adapting.
Yeah. Are you as hot as a flamethrower drone?
See, this is why I have Pete Bois, because you don't understand. That is professionalism in the journalistic world right there. What a transition. Am I as hot as a flamethrower drone? Dude, nothing is as hot as a flamethrower drone. Like in all of the senses of the word. Like, how... I guess we should tell people that this is our cheers of the week. We are cheersing to a flamethrower drone. People using drones to solve real problems. And this is it's not a quadcopter. What is it, like how many props does it have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think. Or 1, 2, it might be, I think it's 6. It looks sort of like 6. Okay, so it's a drone that has at least 6 props on it, and it has fitted to it a flamethrower, like a legit burn your house down flamethrower.
Did Elon Musk make this? That's what I want to know. Did he put one of his flamethrowers on a friggin' drone and fly it up there?
I don't know, man. I can't tell by looking if this is a government issue flamethrower drone, or if this is some off in this house who's solving problems using his drone technology that he has in his garage. Like, what do you think? Is this a legit bot, or is this a homemade special?
I have no. I just Googled where to buy flamethrower drone, and I'm getting. Okay. It looks like it's made in China. It says, no, you probably can't get China's new flamethrower drone. Yeah, it's from China. It's made, okay, owned. It's a state-owned. It's made by the Chinese government.
That's okay. All right, that's what I thought. It looks like it's probably government issue, not just like some dude at his house making a flamethrower drone. And it definitely has, obviously, in this video, it has a purpose. For those of you who can't see the video because you're not in a spot where that's available, basically there is debris that's on a power line, and it's just wrapped around the power line. And the easiest way to get it down, instead of sending a human up there who might get electrocuted or something like that, is to send this death drone of fire up to it with a legit flamethrower attached to it, and the flamethrower just burns away all of the debris, and you just see the sheets of debris falling off and away from the power lines. I mean, it's an elegant solution with the technology available.
Yeah, when drones seem to have a lot of potential, but the best thing I've seen drones used for is videography, filming amazing vistas and flying over things and getting shots that would cost lots of thousands and thousands of dollars, and you just get it with a $1,000 drone. But this is amazing. Like, there's a real-world application that is extremely practical and useful.
So I've seen a couple of different mods for drones that have been used that are terrifying. Flamethrower drone, pretty terrifying. In the wrong hands, that could definitely be... I don't know any... What's higher than terrifying? Like, Terminator?
Yeah. You could... You could literally just go out. You could walk outside, and a flamethrower drone could walk up to you and set you on fire.
Where's my money, Steve? Where's my money? Remember that contract you signed, Steve? Said you're going to pay me my money? Remember?
Imagine robbing a bank with a flamethrower drone. It just flies right in, goes up to the teller. It has a little arm that stretches out. Give me $3,000 or your face is mush.
See, and like, all jokes aside, that is truly legit scary. Like, it's scary. It's scary to have a flying, like, hear a copter that comes down, an unmanned robot thing that has a flamethrower attached to it. I know I saw one that had a one-fire gun attached to it, so that's also terrifying.
That's even more terrifying. Drones that can fire guns?
Yeah. Remotely. So the drone flies out, it has a gun. I mean, if you think about the military has drones that fire missiles.
Yeah, that's pretty terrifying, too.
Yeah, it's all super scary.
You know what I found really interesting is that it is actually legal to sell a flamethrower, because when Elon Musk came out with his amazing flamethrower, people were just buying it and creating YouTube videos of it. So it's not like it's illegal, I'm sure, in America to do this. You could probably put one together.
Wait, I'm sorry. You can buy a flamethrower?
You didn't hear about this?
No.
It was all over everywhere. Elon Musk manufactured a consumer flamethrower.
For what practical purpose?
Because he's badass and he's Elon Musk and he can do whatever the fuck he wants. I don't know. You know what? It's like he takes jokes from Twitter and creates companies around them, like the Boring Company, right? He all of a sudden one day he had a company that drills holes through underneath cities, and all of a sudden one day he went into space. You know, like he had electric cars. It's like people start arguing with him about whether something's realistic on Twitter, and then he's like, "I'm going to prove it," and all of a sudden in a month there's a flamethrower.
Elon Musk, remember that I think that it would be really cool in the event of the zombie apocalypse to have a lightsaber. So if you could go ahead and work on that, that would be great.
This is how you have to phrase it. Elon Musk, you're stupid and could never make a lightsaber, damn it. You could never make a lightsaber. Never, ever make a lightsaber. I don't believe you. Stop trying to save the world with electric vehicles. I dare you to not make a lightsaber.
No. I double dog dare you.
Oh, with the cherry on top.
I double dog dare you with the cherry on top.
Oh, and we both hate you, Elon Musk. You're the worst person in the world. You couldn't prove us wrong.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Official disclaimer, I own shares of Tesla.
Also, official disclaimer: we do not want you as an enemy, Elon Musk.
Yeah, because you see this drone, he'll make one, and he'll come after us.
What happened to Monday Club? It's on fire. Ah, I see. Yeah, they messed with the wrong guy. Anyway,
the club is on fire.
Let me ask this: do you have a drone? Like when drones came out and got super popular, because now they're actually affordable. Like, do you have any quadcopters or anything like that?
No, I received one of those cheap ones that you can buy at like Brookstone as a gift, and that was really fun to play with until it broke. But that's it. I would love to get a drone for video, but I don't have. It's not a good enough excuse to spend $1,000 on a drone yet. I would need to get like 100,000 YouTube subscribers and growing to make it worth producing a video that buying equipment like that. But yeah, it would be badass. I would love to.
Yeah. So last year on 4th of July, we went out to my friend's house who lives out in the country. And one of his friends is really into drones. He had like a super high-end, that's all I know. It's like a good drone. I don't know. I'm sure there's lots better drones, but he had a good one. Anyway, it came in a case, for God's sake.
Wait, a case? Like a whole case?
Like a whole,
Didn't do a half case?
Yeah, no, like a real legit plastic case. Anyway, he pulls it out, and it was really cool because he used it to do photos, like group photos for 4th of July. So we all posed together and the drone went up and took pictures. And then it went up and it got some amazing footage of us shooting up fireworks and like zoomed around in between the fireworks and came down and saw us cheering and running away from all the explosions and stuff like that. It was really cool. So, I mean, I get that. I also think sometime in the future, if I could have basically a wristwatch that I could just take and toss up in the air that could help me, like, be a locator, like if you were lost in the woods and it could send out messages or create like a Wi-Fi or something like that. Like, man, I would be down for that kind of drone. But yeah, I'm with you, man. Right now, it just seems like $1,200 to have a cool flying toy isn't quite where I'm at right now in my stage of life.
Yeah, I have a buddy, actually friend of the show, Alan Benson, in Florida. He flies drones competitively, racing drones. And
cool.
There are these little tiny, I think they're 4-prop drones, and they're just tiny little things. They have little cameras on them, and he wears these goggles, and he sees exactly what the drone sees. So it's like he's piloting a spaceship through obstacles around. And I think definitely a fun hobby. I just don't have the time. I have so many things I would like to do hobby-wise. I don't have the time to get a hobby, I guess, right now.
Have you watched any of those drone racing videos?
A couple of them. He showed me a couple, yeah.
Oh, my God. Some of them are badass. Like, they rent out a giant abandoned warehouse and they refit it so that there's obstacles and multi-levels, like under stairs, and come back up and go through rings of fire and stuff like that. And the pilots of it, like you said, are wearing these virtual reality goggles. So it looks like, from their perspective, they are flying like Superman flying through all of these obstacles. I think that looks badass. It's not something, like you said, it's not something that I'm going to probably get into, but if you haven't checked that out before, Monday Clubbers, Google search that competitive drone racing. It's definitely worth an afternoon of sitting around on YouTube watching some cool vids.
I think they should recreate the Kessel Run for drones. Right? I think we should have a Kessel Run. So when you're bragging about your time in the last race, you can say, "I did the Kessel Run in 20 parsecs. I did the Kessel Run in 14 parsecs. I did the Kessel Run in 12." Let's round up.
It's like, how can you be a bigger nerd than just a Star Wars nerd? Be a Star Wars and a drone nerd. No, I'm with you, man. I think that'd be funny, especially if they could make it where it's like almost impossible to not do the course, but if you're super ballsy and you want to go off course, it still counts as long as you finish the race.
Yeah, because you'd have to cheat to actually break the record.
Right. All right. Yeah,
and escape the octopus.
I'm in. Well, Friends, neighbors, countrymen, Monday Clubbers all, raise your glasses high to the robot overlords who will be taking over from us very shortly because they have flamethrowers and can fly.
Cheers, Monday Club. So I haven't opened my beer yet because I have something special to show you. I'll Instagram some pictures of this. This was a gift from Father's Day. It is called Bottle Keeper. It is a aluminum bottle holder, right? So I have my bottle in here, and I have a little screw top on top. You put up your bottle in this. The bottom comes off, right? You unscrew the bottom, and the bottle of beer comes out of the bottom. I am drinking a Hefeweizen Golden and Crisp Hefeweizen from Sam Adams. It's one of their smaller batch things that they're doing in variety packs right now. And now, when I put my beer bottle in this bottle keeper, nobody knows what I'm drinking. So I could go out in public and drink this because it's not an open container, because it could be in a plastic bag, but it's in an aluminum bottle keeper. And it's got a bottle cap opener on the cap, and then you can just sip out of it.
Nice, and it keeps it cold because it's an aluminum casing.
Yes, and it's insulation inside. There's some insulation in there too, so it is fantastic. So if you see me walking around the mean streets of Maine with a water bottle, it might not be a water bottle.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
And this Hefeweizen is very good. Thank you, Sam Adams.
Cool. I found this beer in honor of our robot and space talk today. It's called Alternate Dimensions, and it is from, let's see if I say this right, it's from Joseph Bra Brewing Company, BRAU, Joseph Bra Brewing Company. It's out of Seattle, and I'll read the back of it because it describes it very well. It says it's a special all-yeast flavor experience from the old city of Dusseldorf, where this style originated. It's an alternate dimension, is a dark, light-bodied, top-fermented beer that is complexly brewed yet easy to drink. And they're right. It is a dark beer. It has some complex notes to it, but it goes down really smooth and easy. It doesn't fill you up like a Guinness, which is basically a beer milkshake. So it's nice. It's a good drink.
Nice. I would like to try that one day. That sounds very good.
You should come over. I got 5 more with that one.
All right, I'll be right over. Well, thank you, Monday Club, for being part of the club. Thank you for being here with us every Monday, listening and being part of our special little Tree Fort Club up here. You can go to MondayClubPodcast.com and sign up for our newsletter. When you sign up for our newsletter, you'll get an email once a week from us telling us when the episode has dropped, and also exclusive content. Sometimes we run long with guests. Sometimes we have funny stories that just don't make the cut or are too good or maybe a little too off color, and we put those in our exclusive content emails. So you will get all of that when you're signed up for our email newsletter. Make sure you go to iTunes and give us a little 5-star rating up there and a little love in a review. That always helps people get the word out. Tell people about Monday Club. We want to grow the club, so share your favorite episodes online and talk it up to people. You can also buy us a drink. You don't have to show up at Gus's door and buy him a 6-pack of really interesting, expensive beer. You can just PayPal us, MondayClubPodcast@gmail.com. PayPal us the money there and what you want us to drink. We will put it together and find it and drink it on air and give you a shout out. Check us out on Twitter and Instagram, Monday Club Pod and Monday Club Podcast, and we're on Spotify and YouTube, so you can listen to us there as well.
Sweet!
Well, so what else is going on? Let's see. Conjuring at the Colony opened up at the Colony Hotel in Kennebunkport, Maine. Did my first show last week on every Thursday night. If you're in Maine, you can get tickets, petermagician.com, and let me know you're coming so we can hang out after the show. I'll buy you a drink. If you come up to me and say, I'm part of Monday Club, I will buy you a drink after the show. Boom. Just threw down the buying the drink gauntlet. And it went well. It was a smaller audience, but it's the beginning of the season, so looking to build momentum. It'll get busy in July. We're already starting to sell a bunch of tickets in July, so that is a good sign. And have a newspaper coming to review the show on this Thursday, and that'll get published, and hopefully that'll help get more people in. And yeah, that is good. I'm also there's little updates on what I'm doing. Looking at a venue in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, for my show Summoning Spirits in October, a weekend in October. So if you're in Maine and New England and New Hampshire, and you're interested in seeing that show, there will be a public, or it's not finalized yet, but hopefully, crossing my fingers, everything works out. There will be a public showing of that. A couple, probably 2, maybe even 3 shows in a night, because it's a small, nice little 106-seat venue in downtown Portsmouth, New Hampshire. That looks beautiful, and I'm trying to get a date on that now. And so there'll be a couple showings of that in October, and I'm pumped about that because I like to see. I like to start selling tickets. This is my hobby. Can I sell tickets? It's a little challenge for me.
Hey, dude, last time on the last episode of Monday Club, you were talking about you had changed the ending of your show and that you were like not really satisfied with it, so you're going to try to tweak it a little bit. How did that go for your first Conjuring at the Colonies?
It went well. I didn't do my original idea for the ending. I put the ending that I had planned that kind of fell flat at my other show. I put that kind of in the middle, and it's still not great there because I'm still figuring out the writing. So I'm kind of working my way through that small little trick in there. But I end it on a proven method now, on a proven way, and it went very good. So there's a little test. If you're trying new stuff, if you're trying a new ending, don't put it at the ending first.
Yeah,
try it in the middle.
Great. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. If there's some material where I know it's going to end up being a strong effect, but I'm not comfortable with it. Yeah, I think putting it in the middle it's good. It makes you look really good while you're still trying to figure things out.
Yeah, and then if it sucks, you can totally recover with something proven the next one.
Right.
The next one.
Right.
Yeah. I've been dog sitting. My neighbors have been going away. One of my neighbors went to Bermuda, and I dog sat for a day. That was an easy one. And then my other neighbor went to Vermont for a weekend, and I dog sat for a couple days for him. I didn't tell him this, but his dog doesn't normally go on walks. He's normally in the backyard a lot, but I always take my dog for walks. So I was like, I'll just take him for a walk with my dog. So we went for our walk, and he's not used to being on a leash on a walk. And halfway through the walk, he started pulling at me and backing out of his leash and his collar, and his collar was on loose and just bloop, went over his head, and he went loose and started chasing a squirrel into the woods. And I'm like, oh, damn, I'm going to lose my neighbor's dog. I'm the one. I'm the guy. My relationship with him is over. He's going to hate me for the rest of the time we live here. And but eventually I bribed him with some treats and got him back. And he didn't die. So that's I don't have to take responsibility
That's a win.
for that. Yeah.
That's a win. Yep, absolutely. Did you put the leash on or the collar on even tighter, or did you just slip it over his head and like, hey, let's go back home?
No, I tightened it like another inch or two. It went on him, and he was like, no, I'm kidding. I didn't choke him. No, but it was on very loose at first, so it was perfectly adjusted when I put it on.
Oh, nice. So, dude, this last weekend on Sunday was Father's Day weekend. Did you get a chance to do anything fun for Father's Day?
Yeah, I did a little gardening in the morning to spruce up my garden a little bit. And then we took my son to, there's this seaside trolley museum about 5 minutes from my house. It's weird, but it's kind of a graveyard for old trolleys and buses and public transportation and trains, and it's just like big big barns full of these old antique trolleys and trains and even some buses, and you get to go in there, subways as well, and you get to walk on all the trains and trolleys, and he just loves trains, so he was like, wow, my God, trains and trolleys, and he would climb on things. There was a double-decker. That was his favorite. And then they have a train ride, and they take you out down into the woods on a legit train track, and they take you around, and so he just loved being on that train and looking out and going on a little train ride. So yeah, that was nice. It was a nice Father's Day. And then I did a show that night, so I had to head out later that afternoon. How about you?
Oh man, that sounds cool. I had, I think, my best Father's Day ever, and it was filled with both like love and Father's Day stuff, and also boneheaded dad things. So,
but you totally got away with it because it was Father's
Day. Oh, totally.
Day.
Yeah, absolutely. So it started off where Bryce made me pancakes. He went to the store. So here's actually what happened. I found this out later, but he had a talk with my wife and was like, hey, I want to do stuff for Dad for Father's Day. And she's like, cool. He's not my dad. He's your dad. You should do all that. So he laid out a plan of all the things that he wanted to do for Father's Day. And Shannon helped him figure out how much all of that would cost. He went to his room and got his jar of change. So anytime I'm on the road and I get change, I just toss it into his jar. And so he took that jar of change and scooped out and counted out and rolled out the amount of money he thought that all of this stuff would cost. Went to the bank and got it changed in for dollars. So he walked away from the bank with like $40 that he had saved in change. Went to the store and bought pancake mix. So he made me pancakes in bed, and my wife made me coffee with basically it was half coffee, half Irish cream. So that was a pretty great way to start the day. And then after breakfast, my wife had to go, and so it was just him and I. And what we did was we did yard work. So I mowed the lawn. I let him do the leaf blowing, and I have never seen a happier 9-year-old kid than like using a leaf blower. It was pretty epically great. And then we look up in the tree, and there was some what are those things called? Webworms. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like the worms that make little bag things in trees.
You mean caterpillars?
No, there's like a type of worm that like attacks trees and can eventually kill them because there's just all these giant webs that block out the trees from getting nutrients. Anyway, it's a parasite. And so I got on a ladder and got to chop down branches, which always makes you feel manly. And then when I had the branches chopped down, we have these branches that are infected with all these webworms, and I was trying to figure out what to do. And I was like, I mean, I can't just throw them in the woods or something like that. They'll just keep coming back and keep attacking the trees. And I was like, I know, we'll just burn them. That sounds good. And so, since we live in the city, we don't have a burn pile, so I just took them and I stuffed all these green, freshly cut tree limbs into my grill. I took out all the grill stuff and just put it in the grill. And then I figured out that I didn't have any lighter fluid. So I was like, but I got gas. So I took some gas and poured it on the stuff. And my son's freaking out. He's like, is this safe? Is this going to be okay? And I was like, yeah, it should be fine. I mean, we're just trying to start a fire.
If only you had a drone flamethrower.
Right? Right?
If only.
Way to bring it back. Anyway, so then I took a match and I threw it in there. And Pete, I am not kidding you. The fireball that erupted out of my grill went about 15 feet above the grill. Like it was just this explosion of fire that went above our roof. And my son jumped back, and then for the rest of the day, all he could talk about was like the flames just got bigger and bigger every time he told the story. But he's like, and then we exploded all the worms, like they just exploded. So that was pretty good. And then we were hot and tired and sweaty, so we came inside, and he wanted to watch a movie, which was a great thing to do after sweating so much outside. And so we were flipping through movies that we wanted to watch, and he wanted to see. Now I'm going to say that he chose this, okay? Like, I mean, I could have vetoed it, but he chose it. He wanted to see Jurassic Park 3. so we watched.
Isn't there
Jurassic...
another story about you watching something like this with him before?
Yeah. Yeah, but I figured he was older, and so it wouldn't be so bad. But no, it was just as bad. He had nightmares all night and was freaking out because of all of the dinosaurs that were in that movie. So I kind of felt boneheaded about that. But it was fun to watch Jurassic Park again, so that was cool. And then, and then we went out to dinner, and for dessert, he had baked me. No, I shouldn't skip this. We did go out to dinner, but part of his budget was that he wanted to buy me dinner, and so he bought me my dinner. He pulled out his little bank envelope, and it was my first time that my son bought me dinner, and it was It was a big moment for me.
That's sweet.
And then, it was cool. It was super cool. And then we went back, and he had baked his from scratch. He did all of the work. My wife said all she did was put it in the oven and take it out of the oven. He baked me a pumpkin pie, and so we ate pumpkin pie with homemade pumpkin pie. Nothing from not like a pie tin or anything like that. Like he made the crust, he made the pie, he did all of it. So we ate pumpkin pie for dessert, and that was my Father's Day. It was great.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, dude,
wow.
It was fun.
You didn't have to pay for a thing, and you got homemade dessert.
Yep, that was my day.
What a good kid!
And we got to catch something on fire with a giant fireball, and I gave my son nightmares with dinosaurs. It was great.
Are you sure he wasn't having nightmares about flame balls of fire coming in his bedroom window at night?
I mean, maybe that was part of it. Flame-throwing Jurassic dinosaur raptors.
Boom! That should be a headline for in the news. But let's talk about something else.
All right. This week in the news,
Gus, I think we need to talk about Space Force.
Space Force!
That sounds like a 80s sci-fi flick, doesn't it?
I actually think it is an 80s sci-fi.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, my goodness. Now I have to Google it.
Yeah, please do.
Space. So, Skype go
while
away.
he's Googling it, Monday Clubbers, if you haven't heard, there is a proposal from our government that we start a sixth branch of our defense force. So there is the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, and Coast Guard. And the new proposed branch of our military is Space Force. So, man, there's a lot to talk about here, and I think it's possible to do this without talking politics. All right?
Sure.
So,
quick thing. Space Force was a comedy made-for-TV movie in 1978, directed by Peter Baldwin. And I don't know any of these cast, but they don't even have a picture of it, so apparently it wasn't
Space Force, 1978.
Yeah. Oh, and and apparently the Space Force is getting trolled pretty hard by Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, nice. So let's talk a little bit about actual facts, and then we'll talk about just personal opinions. Okay. So I guess my opening salvo is this: in 1983, I believe, President Ronald Reagan started the Star Wars Missile Defense Initiative, which I remember as a kid learning about in elementary school, because Star Wars obviously is one of my favorite movies and franchises of all time, and so hearing that there was an actual Star Wars initiative was like a big thing to me growing up. And basically, in my brain, this is sort of an extension of that concept, that basically space is the new Wild West, and we need to recognize that that with growing technology, with space becoming easier to access, with that guy that we referenced at the beginning, Mr. Elon Musk, and SpaceX and stuff like that, proving that getting to space and back from space is becoming more and more achievable and more financially sound, that it should be probably policed in some way and have somebody watching over it. Now, I also want to say that there is currently an organization that is in charge of all things defense with space, and that is the Air Force. Currently has the it's the branch in the Air Force that works on the military space capabilities, and it's specifically the Air Force that is being asked to divide those duties of the Air Force into this new Space Force program. So yeah, Pete, what are your thoughts on all that, man?
When my wife told me about it a night or two ago, and at first I laughed. I was like, "Is this a new Ernest Cline novel? Like, what's going on?" I literally went to Armada. I was thinking, the book Armada by Ernest Cline, where, and I was taken aback because I think, do we need a Space Force? First, the name just made me. It seems like something out of a sci-fi movie, that's what they would call it in the movie, Space Force. But it makes sense. I mean, we have the Air Force, so then the Space Force, and there's no air in space, so he can't call it the Air Force. So technically, he's right in his naming. He's like, I couldn't come up with a better name myself. I laughed at the name, and then I couldn't come up with a better one.
Really? Because I think you nailed it. I think part of the problem with Space Force is that Space Force does sound like a 1970s, 1980s made for TV by one of the unknown Baldwin brothers, like one of those things. So like
what would you call it?
Yes,
what would you name the Space Force?
The Space Corps.
The Space Corps.
Yeah. Like you got the Marine Corps, I think I'd do the Space Corps or space. I could do almost any of these other like Space Navy, Space Army, Space Guard, Space Corps. Like I can deal with any of those, but Space Force sounds like they show up and like Guardians of the Galaxy, they're all wearing leather jackets.
They should have called it Guardians of the Galaxy. Actually.
Oh my God! If you would just, I'd be 100% in on Guardians of the Galaxy, and they could actually financially pay for it because they would have Disney money to help supplement it.
Okay, we found a better name, Monday Club. Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
So, getting into real deal stuff for a second. Technically, from my understanding of law, the president does not have the power to create an entire branch of military by himself. It needs to be authorized by Congress and all that stuff. So technically, This isn't happening. It's just he's trying to will it into happening with his words. So I doubt it's going to happen.
That's correct. Yeah, I also doubt that it's going to happen right now. In fact, I believe, Monday Club, obviously, we are not on the front lines of journalism, so please take everything we say with a little grain of salt. We tried to do a little bit of research for this one so that we weren't too far off the mark. But I believe that the Air Force, in and of itself, does not want to split into Space Force and Air Force. That they are trying to keep that the logistics and the just splitting power into having that branch of the military have to have two different branches, not to mention the funding for it is a nightmare, and so they're not at the stage where they are too keen on doing that. That being said, let me go ahead and say my own 2 cents that I do believe that as space gets easier and easier for people to get up into, it does seem to me that having some sort of strategies and military plan of action in place makes sense. I mean, have you heard about the rod from God, that weapon?
No, but that sounds like a great porno flick.
Space Force presents the rod from God. And the basic idea of the rod from God is instead of launching a nuclear strike, what you do is you have I want to call it a heavy, but a rod, a metal rod in space that can be targeted by computers at a certain place on the globe. And then that rod gets dropped from the satellite that's in orbit, and is barely propelled by being dropped down, targeting at the spot on Earth, and that when it impacts on the Earth, it impacts with the force of a nuclear weapon. It's basically a nuclear strike without having any of the fallout. So there's no radiation, there's no anything. You've just dropped a heavy thing from space that when it hits the Earth, it hits with so much impact that it makes a giant crater and no more enemy right there. I mean, that's a real thing that we've created that is scary as hell, that seems to me like there should be somebody looking out and making sure that we're not held hostage by people in space.
So we're basically resorting back to throwing heavy things at our enemies.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah.
No, the article I read too also kind of pointed out some very practical reasons to have something like this to clean up space trash in orbit. You know, as we get more satellites going out there, and maybe even space tourism, you know, having a body or some sort of responsible people that can clean up space or keep things in order. That seems pretty logical, but I don't think we need maybe we have a Space Force inside of the Air Force. I think that'd be logical, because then you have to duplicate all the administration processes and everything.
And that's exactly what
that's really
what
expensive,
they're saying.
And
right.
We really don't need to be spending more useless money on our anything. So, or
right.
useful money on useless things.
Now,
but
the counter argument to all the logic that you just said is, think of how badass the Space Force tattoos are going to be.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you've seen people who have the Marine Corps tattoo on them, or like, you know, their Army Ranger tattoos on them, and you know, Semper Fi and all that. I mean, you're in the fucking Space Force.
That's badass. You know what, though? They're probably going to be like the nerdiest people, though, because they're just flying drones and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're basically just a group of, like, literally group of engineers.
Yeah.
Like, people who are smart enough to, like, be rocket scientists.
Yeah. These nerdy guys go up to the bar and they order, like, Cosmos, and then they pull up their arm, and on their forearm they've got Space Force.
Space Force! And it's like Daffy Duck with, like, his Duck Rogers in the 24th and a half century.
Yeah, I would totally apply, though. I want to go to space.
Yeah, I'm kind of in to go to space. I think I'm like 10 years into going into space. As in, like, I think that in 10 years from now, space will be comfortable enough to travel to. That's my prediction anyway. Comfortable enough to travel to that it would be worth the money and time to go up into space.
Yeah. And this also kind of made me scared, too, because it implies that he knows something about aliens that we don't know. You know, it takes me back to Armada again, the Ernest Cline novel. Is there some European colony happening or is it Europa, or wait, on one of Uranus's moons or something like that? Are there aliens building this huge mega Death Star in space that we know about and that we need some sort of defense mechanism against?
I don't know. I kind of picture a world, though, if this all goes through, which, again, I kind of doubt that it will, but if it all goes through, like, can you imagine the recruiting lines at Space Force? It sounds badass. It just sounds badass. Like,
I thought Space Camp was cool when I was a kid. I mean, Space Force. That's awesome.
Oh, right? Do we get lasers? Do I get issued a laser for space? Because
that'd be awesome.
Space lasers.
Elon Musk, you cannot make a space laser. You cannot do that. You're too stupid.
But if you do, please make sure when you pull the trigger, it goes pew 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 pew.
Oh man. So,
oh my God!
All right, to wrap up Space Force, are you happy about the Space Force, or should we can
No,
it?
I'm not happy about Space Force. I think that I do think that probably we are entering into a stage in human history where all of the sci-fi writers are looking at politics and being like, yeah, we kind of told you so. Like, this is the natural extension of the progression of technology. That being said, I don't want guns in space pointed at people. I want people to be responsible, and I think that I think that there's a lot more problems that need to have to get solved right here, right now, prior to the formation of Space Corp or Space Guard or Space Force or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, no, I'm not so down.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think we need to leave it with the Air Force. They can handle it. Clean up the space trash. There's no credible threat in space. We don't need to spend that money.
Right. Now, I will say that that is my opinion of separating Space Force from the Air Force. I 100% am with the Air Force getting funding to protect outer space like they protect the skies. Like, I'm in that. 100%.
All right. Monday Club agrees.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
It's the summer. It's Monday Club. It's Monday Club's Summer Movie Challenge. Speaking of forces, our next summer movie challenge up is Incredibles 2. I've never seen Incredibles 1.
What?
Yeah, I know. I need to go back and see it. I need to rent that tonight.
Oh my God, Pete! It's one of my favorites of all time.
All right, cool.
It's really good.
I'll do that. So Incredibles 2 just dropped a couple days ago. Incredibles 1 got 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. Incredibles 2 got 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. I predicted it would get 88%, and Mr. Gus Davis predicted 96%. So Gus takes his second win of the summer.
I'd like to thank all the little people. Man, I've won both of mine by like 4 to 6 points. Yeah, I don't know, man. Hopefully this is a good trend for me, like for the rest of the summer, because I would like it to be at least close by the time that Megalodon comes out, or the Meg comes out at the end of the summer.
Are we adding up all the points we were off by, and whoever?
No, we're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
No
wins and losses column, or are we adding up all the percentage points?
We'll do a spreadsheet. We'll talk about that.
Maybe we do both, and
closer.
then we can argue who wins if it's split.
That's right. Yeah. Because doing whoever wins kind of feels like playing closest to the pin challenge. I don't know about that, but maybe that'll help me later on. So I don't want to just say no.
Nice. He's hedging his bets.
That's right.
Have you seen Incredibles 2?
I have not. In fact, I was going to this for Father's Day. Bryce wanted to go see it, but his summer camp, Father's Day is on Sunday. His summer camp Monday took him to go see Incredibles 2, and he freaking loved it. So I didn't want him to see it 2 days in a row in the theater. So yeah, I didn't. I passed up my chance to see Incredibles 2 on Father's Day, and instead showed him Jurassic Park 3 that made him almost wet the bed.
Good choice. Father of the Year award.
Yeah, I know, man.
You get this trophy. It says, you know what? I want to say that they only sell one of these. What I'm holding in my hand is Daddy of the Year 2018 award presented by a little squirrel. And they only make one of these a year, right?
Yeah,
okay, and I got it.
They definitely they print one from Hallmark every year, and it goes to the most deserving recipient.
Oh, good. That's good. Well, next week on Summer Movie Challenge, what is next week? Do we know?
I'm gonna say, is Ant-Man and Wasp coming out? That's what I think.
Yes, possibly. Or you'll just have to listen to find out. Hey, it's time for Stories from the Road. All right, I've been on the road a little bit, doing a few shows here and there, and I was doing a show a couple days ago, and during near the end of my show, I have a bit where I do a thumb cuff escape. It's a comedic thumb cuff escape, and I get somebody on stage by asking, by a show of hands, how many people have ever been arrested? and, gets a good laugh. And every once in a while, or most of the time, I get somebody that raises their hand, or multiple people, which is always fun. So I get somebody up, and they're usually the perfect personality to get involved in this trick, right? Because it's comedy, They need to have a good sense of humor, and it's usually people who have been arrested that are willing to admit that they've been arrested in a public forum. They've got a good sense of humor. They're going to be comfortable and fun on stage. And all that was true of my volunteer I brought up on stage. And he was probably around 18 years old, and he comes up on stage, and I always ask, because sometimes I get crazy answers, I always ask, would you like to clear your conscience and let the audience know what you're arrested for? And I always say, you don't have to. And a lot of times they opt out. Sometimes I've gotten, everything from, smoking dope, DUIs, to flicking off the Queen of England, to literally, I think someone got arrested in Britain for flicking off the Queen of England.
That's
of course,
funny.
She was an American. And and I've been burned on this a couple times, but sometimes they say something really sad and terrible. I've had, I beat some girl with a baseball bat.
Oh, my God.
This was from another girl, but... It's still bad, but
all right, yeah, still bad.
And so last night, it was so terrible. He said, I got in a car accident and I really hurt the passenger, which was a minor, and then I got charged with endangering a minor, and I got arrested and brought to jail. And this is in front of a group of parents as well as incoming students to this college.
Oh my God. No. It's not how you do it.
And I just sucked the air out of the room with that question. And well, how do you recover from that? I just said, well, that brought the room down, and then I just jumped into my next line and just kept going. I'm like, I got to plow through this, get past this awkward moment. So, so here's a bonus teachable moment. Careful what you ask in front of a large group of people. You might get an answer that might not be a good one.
Yeah, that's hard to recover from. You either play that sanctimoniously, where you're like, well, I'm sure that you do regret it, and let that be a lesson to all of you underage people not to drink and drive, and to drive your motor vehicle safely. Also, hug your mom right now. Okay, and then move on.
Oh, that's a way better way.
Yeah, I mean, you could play it that way. Or, like you said, you could just be like, well, I hope you cleared your conscience, and I hope you learned your lesson. All right, let's go. Here we go. Pick a card. Yeah. Any card.
You want to see a magic trick now?
Yeah, man, that's crazy. Yeah, it's really hard when you ask your audience questions and you get answers that you're just not ready for.
Yeah, oh my God, I had I have to think about this. I was doing this show for a group that it was for abused parent victims of domestic abuse. Mm-hmm. And I bring up this kid on stage to do this rope trick. And, I have funny banter with the kid. And usually, I say, hey, hi, what's your name? Where are you from? And then they always say, whatever town we're in. I'm from, let's say I'm from Boston. Oh, okay, cool. What made you decide to move there? And there's with the little kid, he's like, oh, I don't know.
Right.
And normally it's a really funny line because he's awkward and doesn't know exactly what to answer. And then this kid comes out and says, because the bank took our house.
Oh, no!
Yeah.
Oh, no!
Oh, my God. I died inside. I felt, oh my God. And that wasn't even a terrible question. That was,
right.
Oh, wow.
Right. Well, Pete, I can make you feel a little bit more like a little better because I've done every boneheaded thing that you can possibly do.
Okay, bring it on.
So the other day, last year, I did a show for Gold Star Families. It was a game show for Gold Star Families, which are families that have kids that have lost one of their parents in the service to our country, right? Mm-hmm. So military families. And one of the things that we're supposed to do is we're supposed to, as entertainers there, they pre-warn us, like, hey, just don't say anything that makes them remember that's why they're there. Like you want to just stay positive, stay upbeat, just stay away from military and all of that stuff, right? And of course stay away from the fact that they've lost one of their family members. And I thought that would be an easy thing to do, except that one of my taglines that I always say to any other audience when they're doing a great job, so they get 4 or 5 answers right on the board, and I go up to this one kid and I'm like, "Oh, you're killing it, man! You're killing it!" And then I was like, "Oh no!" And I know that the kid didn't associate it in any way. I didn't see any pain or confusion on the kid's face, but internally I was like, wrong phrase, wrong phrase, wrong phrase.
Use a phrase of what I don't even know what you'd say in that situation.
Yeah, hey, you're doing an exceptional job. Continue, please.
There you go.
This last week, while I was on the road, I did a camp. I did a magic show for a summer camp at the University of Texas. And the summer camp is specifically for kids who stutter, who have speech impediments. And it was such an interesting show. Before I went to go do this show, the camp sent me a lot of articles and research and tips on how to deal with some of these kids who stutter. And I should say that these kids are ages 5 through 18 that go to this camp. And there were 80 kids at this summer camp with that all had stutters, that all had speech impediments. And one of the big things that they have in bold at the top of their literature before you come out and entertain these kids is, please don't ever interrupt one of the kids while they're stuttering. Don't try to finish their sentence for them. Let them do it, even if it's awkward for you. And I'm so glad I read that, because there were lots of times where I would be doing something. I'd even in setup, I was setting stuff up, and this kid, I'd call him 15, 16 years old, came up to me and was like, "Hey, what are you?" And then he just stopped talking. And he was staring at me, and his mouth was moving, but he wasn't making any noise. And what I wanted to do was just be like, because I'm in a hurry. I'm trying to get everything set up. What I wanted to do was, "Hey, I'm about to do a magic show, or I'm setting up, or you're standing on one of my props. Can you move?" Hustle him up. But I'm glad I read that literature, because I just stared at him back in his face and let him work it out. And about, 4 or 5 seconds later, he got it out what are you doing here? And I told him, "Hey, I'm doing a magic show." Anyway, the conversation went just like that over and over again. And it was much less awkward for me having that tool to know that it's totally fine to just be quiet and wait for them to get their sentence out. And the kids were awesome, man. The kids were super cool. They before the show, what they had, the activity that they had before the show was they had the kids get up and do a self-affirmation on a microphone where they spoke to the entire group and said that they were okay with the fact that they stuttered, and that it was just part of what made them cool and stuff like that. And it was really neat to see. It was a very empowering moment. And then it was cool for me, because basically for most of my show, people that I bring up on stage, your job is to smile, nod, laugh at the appropriate time, and pick a card. You don't have to speak very much. And the little bit that you do have to speak is, what's your name, and easy answers. And so I think I felt like everyone who came up on stage felt like they got to look like a rock star on stage. And so it was fun, man. I walked away from that show feeling pretty damn good about my magic show.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was cool.
Making them feel good. That's freaking awesome. Do you know, real question, do you know what stuttering comes from? I don't know. Is it some sort of psychological thing, or is it a physical thing? Even maybe probably a combination of the two?
Yeah, I am not nearly smart enough to know the answer to that question. I know that we had somebody in our family that stuttered, but he started stuttering because he had a stroke, and so he started stuttering. I'm sure that some stuttering comes from abuse. I think some stuttering probably is just in child development. That's when you develop speech, that there's an interrupt there. I know that there were people at this summer camp that started off having a stutter and have gotten rid of their stutter through speech therapy and are going back into the community of people who stutter and trying to work with some of those people. I'm sure that works for some people. I'm sure it also doesn't work for other people. So yeah, that's a long-winded answer of saying, yeah, I have no idea, and I don't think anyone's proven why people stutter. Like there's one thing you can point at to say, hey, this is why some people stutter.
Yeah, I remember one time, it was either in middle school or early high school, where I started developing a stutter. It was like for a week or two. I would talk, and sometimes I would just get that stutter, and I'm like, what the heck am I? What is going on? And somehow I forced myself not to stutter anymore, or figured it out. But it was so weird. Right. I don't know what happened.
For me, being a performer is one of the things that has helped me, because I know I have some weird speech patterns. I repeat my words a lot. There's times, especially if I'm thinking fast, where I do have a weird stutter. But because I'm a performer and because I can review things that I've said on tape and on audio, I'm very aware of how I speak, and so sometimes when I talk, I have this weird speech pattern that it almost sounds mechanical to me when I'm listening to it like in my own head. But I know it's because I'm basically reviewing everything that I'm thinking about in my head, trying to make sure it comes out in the way that I want to say it. So I think being a performer has certainly helped me with my speech patterns and my own personal speech therapy. Like, I have a vain version of speech therapy. It's like I just want to be better on microphones and in front of an audience, like, so I can get paid more.
I hear you. I'm with you on that.
Teachable moments.
All right, Monday Club. My teachable moment is this: don't be selfish. Create a team. I am a person that likes to do everything myself. When I start a project, I want to create the concept. I want to write it. I want to create all the props or whatever, and I want to design and do it all. I want to package it for multiple reasons. One, I like being in control of everything that I do to make sure it's just right. Two, I don't like paying other people. And three, I don't know. I'm an idiot. I don't ask for help often. So there's my little teachable moment. Don't be selfish, create a team. And I'm doing that more and more. I'm really trying to, in my up-and-coming projects, ask for help. And whether that be hiring somebody and paying somebody for their help, or just reaching out to people and seeing what their thoughts are, and not just the normal one or two best friends, but reach out to others that are maybe I don't know so well, or just acquaintances with. Who knows where that relationship can lead to? Maybe you just get maybe you get nothing, maybe you get a little piece of advice, maybe you get a partnership in certain aspects of what you're doing. And so this teachable moment comes from the magic trick I'm putting out, the Impression Vanish. I was going to put it out just by myself. I reached out to my friend, our friend, Brent Braun. He is themagicfirm.com, I believe. He's a magic consultant and a buddy of ours. And I reached out just to ask him a few questions, and he answered my questions, and I felt like, holy crap. I learned so much from talking to him for 30 minutes about creating magic out in the world, and selling it to other magicians, and it completely changed how I was going to release this trick. And then I reached out to James Caldwell, our sound engineer, and he's an amazing technical guru, and he has designed the prop engineered the prop. I don't know. Engineered on the computer in 3D, right. The prop that I need made it, and we've gone back and forth, and he's been doing this. So I've hired James to do that for me, and then I went back to Brent, and I'm like, wow, you know all your stuff. How do we make this partnership official? I want to pay you. I want to, I want you on board. I don't want to feel bad about coming to you and asking questions as a friend, because this is what you do for a living. So I created a little team around this little project I'm doing, and it feels good that I'm not alone in my endeavor. I feel like I have people that can do this, and also I can do other stuff while they're, when they have time, they work on what I'm doing, and then and I feel like I'm the main source of motivation in this project, but they've done so much to help me that it feels really good to not be the sole person. Even if that means I'm paying a little bit of money out, I not only save a ton of time, and also the project gets done sooner. I can do more things with my time. So, yeah, don't be afraid to hire people, even if it's going to cost you some money. Don't be so selfish you want to keep the whole pie to yourself. Split it up. Obviously, you need to make some money for your efforts and stuff, but split it up a little bit, and you'll probably be happier in the process, too.
Dude, Pete, that is in your top 3 teachable moments. Like, I can't even tell you how good of a teachable moment that is. Like, building a community around yourself helps in so many ways. And one of those ways that I'm sure you've already found, my friend, is that if you do a project solo and you do all of the things, what usually happens is, and this is going to happen anyway, I mean, we live in a world of trolls, but basically as soon as you release it, somebody is going to come to you and say, hey, man, that was a really cool thing you just put out. Hey, it would have been better if you did this, this, and this, which when you hear them, you're like, well, duh, yeah, of course that would have been better. God damn it!
Why didn't you tell me?
So at least why didn't you tell me that? Yeah. So at least you've sort of gotten around that at least a little bit, so that you have a group think on it, and you can put out something that has some more corners that you've looked around, right?
Definitely. Totally. There's even just running the ideas past my around Brent. He took completely he's altered the project. He named the project. It was not called The Impression Vanish at first, but that's a freaking great name. I'm so excited for that name. So
Hey, here's to Brent Braun, because that dude's awesome. We should have him on the show.
Yeah, we should. Cheers to you, man, Brent.
All right. Here's to you, Brent. So that's a great teachable moment. My teachable moment, I hope, helps as well for some of you out there. So here's the deal, Monday Club. My wife does improv. She travels all over the country doing improv, sometimes doing these workshops, teaching public speaking, teaching confidence, teaching communication activities through improv. And a friend of ours came to her and said, hey, my company, which is a really big deal advertising company here in Austin, wants to do a presentation and a workshop on how to get on a microphone and speak comfortably. And I threw your name in the hat, and they said, yeah, let's have her come out and do this workshop. So it's a 2-hour workshop that she's going to go out and do. And it's really cool because this just so happens to come at a time where she is branching off on her own and having a website and advertising this aspect of her life that she can go out and do, and sort of trying to make that into a side business. And so she came to me and said, hey, so it's really exciting that all of these things came together at the same time. I have no idea what to charge him. I was going to charge him $75.
Oh.
And I was like, yeah. And I was like, look, this is a real company. I know a friend of ours came to you and asked you to do it, but it's a real company. What you should do is you should say, hey, look, if I was going out to do this for a company that I didn't know and they had found me on my website, I would charge this much. But because you guys came through this friend of the family, I will do it for you for this much, which I think I told her to charge them $250 or something like that. And so as her first one, she'll get video, she'll get quotes, she'll get credentials. Like it'll really be helpful for her. Plus, that's 3 times what she was originally going to charge them. Yeah. But that's half of what I told her to put as her actual price. Okay. So she wins all around. She gets 3 times more than what her original thought was. She lists it at hey, here's my normal fee, but for you guys, I'll do it for this. Anyway, the other day they came back to her and they said, "Oh no, your normal fee's fine. We're good with that." So she's gonna get her full fee for doing this event only because she phrased it the way that she phrased it, and now she's super stoked to go out and do this project that she initially was willing to go out and do for $75. And so the teachable moment that comes out of that, people, is know what you're worth. Ask for what you're worth. Or if you're in an awkward situation where you're dealing with friends of the family or a recommendation from a friend, don't be scared to put like, hey, here's what I normally charge. Here's what I'm happy to do it for you because you guys are a friend of a friend. And then you never know, because if there's certain industries out there that they look at whatever you think is a lot of money as a laughable amount that they spend on pizza on Wednesdays. So they're happy to give you your full fee. And you don't know, you never know which company you're dealing with. So make sure you feel good all around about how you're charging for yourself, how you're billing yourself, and go out there and do an awesome job.
Well said. We have some teachable moments, business edition. This is great.
This is great. Hey, Monday Club, you guys have been freaking phenomenal this week. We love you, and we will see you next week on Monday Club. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of Monday Club. We couldn't do it without you, the Monday Club fans, so thanks again from Pete and I. Hey, we want to make sure that you are subscribed to all of our stuff. Make sure to rate us on iTunes. Check us out at MondayClubPodcast.com, Facebook.com/MondayClubPodcast, Twitter at MondayClubPod, Instagram at MondayClubPodcast. Email us questions, comments, concerns, quibbles, quandaries at MondayClubPodcast@gmail.com. That's also where you can buy us a drink. Special shout out to the amazing, fantastic Mr. James Caldwell, our sound engineer and good friend of the show. And of course, Mr. Zach Holder for our music. Go out, be merry, and go out into space!